Hey guys, it's Rich with Spokane Home Guy Group and One Property Network, and I'm joined again, and as of late, as always, by Mike Hogan with Chimney Rock Mortgage. And we are bringing back the Ale Trail
Yeah,
market
it's about
update.
time.
Yeah, I know. We're not outdoors just yet, but we're down at Lumberbeard Brewing, which is just across the street from Dick's on, what would this be, second or third? Something like that?
Yeah.
Third. Okay. Yeah. What do you have today?
I am having the party pants, but I think you might have better names
I
than I
know,
do.
I know. I went with a flight, so I have a dope sauce, couple skate, flavor nuggets, and hops in here.
I mean, how can you beat those names?
So, yeah. I learned today that Lumberbeard actually specializes in hazy beers, which is
Yeah.
great. So I'm excited about that. But enough about the beers. Let's talk about real estate, the Fed rates, all that. And towards the end of the video, I think we're going to go and just kind of do like a 5-year recap and take a look at the cost of waiting, which is it
It's
turns
real.
out it's pretty expensive over the last four or
No
5 years.
question.
So yeah. So to round off the month of April, we actually saw some pretty good price appreciation for Spokane. We saw the average price jump up to 477,000, which is a 3% increase, 3.5% increase from the previous month. So um, and that's despite what's happening with rates and inflation and all that stuff. So really good price appreciation, and we actually saw inventory pick up as well. And towards the end of the video, we'll take a look at where we are now versus May of 2020, and those so we're seeing some good trends in the market. But what's happening in rates? And I'm going to
Well,
drink while you talk.
that's fine. So at the end of April, rates actually were starting to trend up. There's kind of an exciting announcement. Federal Reserve always has their rate decision, but when they came out with their minutes last time, they announced that they were going to cut the amount of their cutting their balance sheet by $35 billion a month, which means, and to me, the sign is that they're concerned where mortgage interest rates are, because that is something that they can do that does have a direct relation on mortgage interest rates.
So are they like they're basically have lost the fight against inflation? They feel mortgage rates are too high, and so that's kind of a lever they can
Well,
pull,
I
or
think they're still fighting inflation, but this is a lever that they can use on mortgage rates that also isn't, necessarily have a direct impact on some of the, on the inflation numbers and the employment numbers that they're most concerned about. So to me, it wasn't a very well publicized announcement in that, but it does show to me that they are concerned about mortgage interest rates and trying to do something to try to get those either to stabilize or move down.
yeah. So the less they sell, the more expensive the basically that instrument becomes, and that can actually translate to lower interest rates for the
Yeah,
consumer.
correct. I mean, fundamentally, they are currently the biggest seller of these kind of mortgage-backed securities, and by slowing the supply, it actually should help absorb some of the other notes and rates that are happening right now.
Yeah, yeah. So that'd be kind of cool to see how that kind of shows up on interest rates and hopefully gets them a little bit lower because
Yes.
I don't think we're going to see prices come down anytime soon.
No, it
So
doesn't appear to be the case.
yeah, yeah. So if we look back over the last 5 years on, uh, like people are looking for ways to get into housing or create wealth or, all while waiting for a certain thing to happen into the market, whether rates come down or prices come down. And we're taking a look at like what's the actual like real cost of waiting. And so we look back in this time 2020, and the average sale price was $319,000. Like,
Yeah, you
and
gave up on hundreds of thousands of dollars
yeah,
if you waited.
yeah. So we're at 477 today. So it's 160, $170,000 of waiting for an event to happen. And so we kind of looked, like most people will look at price as the crash in the market. And we actually had a silent crash. And that is a year, go from 2020 to 2021, we saw a 30% decline in the number of homes available on the market in that area. And it wasn't very scary because it didn't affect like your bottom line as a consumer, but that was our market crash
Yeah,
3 years ago.
right. And so I think that the signs that more homes are coming on the market now shows to me that people have confidence in real estate and are good at starting to buy again. And, and the stats will show it. Housing prices are not declining now.
Yeah. So I know I'm just a realtor and you're a lender. And Like, I don't think the story ever changes that it's always a good time to buy. It is a needs-based market where you're buying because of a life event. And take a look at, look at any 5-year period, any 10-year period. More than likely, you're going to have some pretty good equity in your house by making that decision.
Yeah, well, no question. And there's two things that happen, right? Not only hopefully does housing prices increase, right, while you're in your house, you're also paying down your debt. So your amount of equity is growing in two different ways. Um, and it kind of reminds me, I think maybe one of the first beer tours we did is, what happens if rates don't get better? What happens if houses prices don't go down? And fundamentally speaking, that was 6 or 8 months ago, and rates aren't better and housing prices are higher.
Yeah. Huh?
Hey, Rich, did you know you can have more than one VA loan at the same time?
I did not.
Yeah. A veteran who's lived in a house for at least 12 months can go buy another primary residence as long as their total benefit, really fundamentally speaking, as long as the combination of the two houses purchase price does not increase, is not over $766,000.
Can you do? Can you rent out the other one?
Yeah, you can turn it into a rental.
Whatever you want to do with it.
Whatever you want to do with it.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's great.
Is that the same thing with FHA?
Yes, actually, you can have two FHA loans at the same time. There's a little bit more criteria to it. With FHA, you either need to have moved more than 100 miles away from your current home or your family size has increased, which, I mean, think about it. If someone bought an FHA loan and they just got married and that was their first house, had a child or two, that's family size increase, and they could actually keep that FHA loan on that house, do with what they want, and go buy another house with only 3.5% down.
So if you want to have 3 or 4 kids, you could have like 3 or 4 FHA loans, or is there a limit?
I don't think there is a limit. I mean, as long as your family keeps growing.
So once every 9 months, like you could have.
Well, you got to live in the house for 12 months, though, right? Because when you
Oh.
do it, right, you're agreeing to move in within 60 days and live there for 12 months.
Yeah, yeah. But you could, I mean, you could have like a reveal party of like, is it going to be a boy or a girl? No, it's
No,
3% or 4% or 5%. Like that's it. Yeah. And just have 5 FHA loans.
You could. You can buy a 1 to 4 unit.
That was the cool thing that I
Think about
don't
it,
think people are taking
But if you
advantage.
buy a 1 to 4 unit as your first house, right? You live in there for 12 months, you get the rents up, then you can move out, go buy another house with 3.5% down, and own that, that fourplex as a rental property.
Yeah.
With only 3.5% down.
So is there outside of the time period, like, is there anything else that has to be a qualifier so if you buy a duplex, you live in it for a year, you go
Well,
get
the
another
same thing. You'd have the qualifier to either have to be 100 miles away or your family size increase. But if you bought it as a single person and bought a, fourplex that had 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and then you got married and had a kid, it would, and have another one on the way, to make reasonable sense that current unit isn't big enough for you and your family size.
That's awesome. I didn't think about like a mortgage reveal party once every.
I like that
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Rich, did you know on a national level, the average homeowner has $298,000 of equity in their house?
I did not. I knew it was a lot. So how did it's just sitting there on paper. So how do you tap into that?
Well, there's a couple different things. I mean, you could look to do a home equity line of credit if you need to pay off debt. You could look at a cash out refinance if you need to pay off debt. You could also look at potentially doing a remodel loan. There are both the home style, which is a conventional loan, or the 203K FHA loan, in which you can actually borrow money to renovate the current house you're in.
Yeah.
And you could use your equity to do that.
Well, some of my clients have opened up a HELOC or like a home equity line, and they've actually gone out and invested.
Yeah, that's the other thing is with that equity, you could actually, do a home equity line of credit and go look at investing into real estate.
Ooh.
So you're talking, we could, yeah.
You want me to throw some myths at you and you can answer?
I like the hops in here. That was my favorite.
Is that which one?
Hops in here.
Huh?
This
we
one.
didn't even get your food. Like, what did you guys eat?
I had a Mediterranean chicken
I
sandwich.
had a Cubana sandwich and it was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
There was no side. Not that I need it. Oops. Table. Oh gosh.
So we'll have to do one of those 5 minutes later and then have all the food down.
Hey, Rich, should I wait for mortgage rates to come down to buy a house?
So like where do you think they're going to go?
Well, they're going to go down back to 3%, right?
I don't think so.
I
I know
don't
I have a
either.
lot of gray hair, but it's not in my lifetime. Not in my lifetime. Honestly, I'd say like if you have a need, like your rent's not going to get any cheaper. Rates may come down a little bit. There's always the opportunity to refinance, but what you're giving up, waiting for rates to come down, trying to time the market, is money. I mean, like you're leaving money on the table.
Yep, I agree. You ready for another myth?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would I get a better deal once prices crash?
Would you get a better deal once prices crash?
Yeah, the housing prices crash.
I think you can find good deals all the time.
Well, I don't think housing prices are going to crash either.
I don't think so either. But I mean, like, I wouldn't wait for like housing prices crash. The likelihood of other people in your shoes, like waiting for that to happen, is probably pretty high. So what's going to happen again is you're going to have people that are all rushing to go and buy a house. Maybe you're going to have to compete with that. And more than likely, the price is going to get bumped up to where you're pretty close to where it was versus like, I mean, there's ways that, I mean, we can find houses off market, all kinds of stuff. I mean, to create that deal that you're looking for.
Given today's market, is there any chance I can find what I want to buy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just got an FHA 250 buyer with all closing costs paid.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Rich, do I have to have a 20% down payment to buy a house?
No.
No, you don't.
No.
I mean, there's lots of products for that. Yeah, VA is 100% loan to finance. FHA, you can do 3.5% down, or you can use the Washington State Housing Finance Commission down payment assistance. USDA Rural Development is also 100% down program. And really, even with conventional, there's 3% down programs.
I want to ask you another question about like are there programs out there where, let's just say like Washington Bond will pay up to 4% of your down payment, but what if you only need 3% for the down payment? Can you use that other money towards closing costs?
Yeah, that's the great thing with the Washington State Housing Finance Commission. If you're only putting 3% down and they're giving you a 4% second loan, you can use that 1% to pay for some closing costs.
So whatever they give you, you don't have to leave any money on the table.
No, you do not.
Oh.
Should not leave any money on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, for most of those products, it's 0% interest. Why would you leave money on the table?
Yeah, I agree. So if somebody is thinking about jumping in the market, how can they reach you?
They can reach me at 509-747-1300, or we're also on the internet, Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. And any one of our agents can be reached at 509-990-SOLD. We're also on the internet.
I've heard.
And social media. And I just realized like these cups make my hands look big.
No, you have big hands.
Oh.